My name's Chris Hoyle. I'm a playwright from Manchester. I've been writing for nearly 10 years, well, over 10 years now. I trained as an actor, so I started my life as an actor. I was a child actor. I went to drama school, and then I basically went bald, and my casting kind of changed quite dramatically. So I started writing, and I've never really looked back. I felt it was something I should have done many years before. Yeah, I've been writing. I've kind of worked at different theatres, mainly in the north, including the Lowry, Oldham Coliseum, Home, worked with Box of Tricks, worked with 53-2, and also I'm co-artistic director of Dibby Theatre, which is a new writing theatre company. We're quite young. We've only had 2 productions, and one called The Newspaper Boy, which was my play, which we did as part of Queer Contact. And also with my co-artistic director, Nathaniel Hall, who written and performed his story First Time, which I was dramaturg and director of. We took that to Edinburgh last year, and it went absolutely amazingly. We won Venues North Award for Best Fringe Production. So we are developing a lot. We're developing a range of different new writing projects for the future. Box of Tricks asked me to come and do a workshop and asked me what I would like to focus on. And I think that one of the biggest things that I think is really important for any writer is to look at the character. I think characters are really, really, really important in order to create work for the stage. What we're going to do is in this session is I'm just going to share with you a few exercises which I do. Some of them might be really obvious to some people. Some of them might be a huge revelation for others. There's no right or wrong way to do them. And so we will be doing some exercises that I want you to do, but don't worry too much about the detail. I just want you to kind of open your brain and see on how you can inhabit your characters. How I do this is I create a thing called a character Bible. So I don't know if you can see this here. This is basically a scrapbook of notes, doodles, exercises. Anything that doesn't actually go into the play goes in here. And I kind of use this as a Bible, really, as a focus point to keep going back to see how my characters come to life and how I can get into the lives of these characters. I kind of do it in a hard copy. Now, you can do this on a file on your computer if you like, but I like to do a hard copy. I have 2 copies. I have a much smaller book and I have this book, and it means that I can take my writing outside of sitting at a desk and sitting at your laptop, because I think that, you know, a lot of the work that we do here, some writers might sort of argue that it's a lot of extra work. I know what it's like. We all don't have a lot of time to write. So we might have 2 hours that we need to write a certain scene. So it feels like doing all these extra exercises. Some people just think it's a bit extra work than what you need. But I think that by doing this, it makes your characters a lot fuller and a lot rounded, more rounded. So this is my play that I'm about to start writing. So I'm going to share with you how I do my prep. I'm about to start writing a new play called The Alleyway of Dreams. It's about the closure of a city centre restaurant in Manchester, and it's set in the alleyway down the side of it. It's been a play that I've had in my development slate for a few years. I also work in a restaurant, and obviously because of the year we've had, the hospitality industry as well as the theatre industry is completely destroyed. So it feels like the right time for me to get this play off the ground. So this is what I will be doing. So this is how I create this. So basically all these green stickers up here are all the characters in my play. And I kind of divide around 15 to 20 pages for each character. So we've got Jay, we've got Amanda, we've got Marek, we've got Yana, we've got Bex, we've got John, and we've got H. And each one of those has 20 pages where I mean, if anyone found this book, it would make no sense to anybody other than myself. But yeah, it's basically all their thoughts and all their things. So we'll go through different exercises on how I create this and fill this in. So hello, everyone. Yeah, I just want to point out that I'm actually not at home in my working space right now. We did a little test earlier, and downstairs is having the windows done. It was really noisy. So like all theatre, I've had to go and run to the neighbours. I don't actually live in this grand house at all. I wish I did. So it's not actually, this is so weird seeing myself here in this nice grand space. Normally we would go around and do a few introductions, but there's quite a few of you, so we're not going to be able to do that. It's nice to see so many here, some familiar faces as well that I see. Hello, hello. But yeah, I'm going to kick off with a writing exercise that I want you to all think of. And I want you to just think of at least five things on what make a good character. We'll just, if you get more than 5, that's absolutely brilliant, but try and get 5 things about what you feel makes a really good character. And I will just play a little bit of music for a couple of minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. I don't want you to think too heavily about it, because we can discuss at the moment when we come back to share a few to see what people think. So yeah, what 5 things do you think make a really good character? Great. Okay, I think that's 2 minutes. If you just finish writing what you've got, don't worry if you've not got 5. If you've got more, that's fantastic. Yeah, let's, normally I would go around everybody and ask everybody to share this. There's no right or wrong answer here. This is, but I think collectively we can agree on what we think makes a good character. Would anybody like to share? Yeah, hello, hello, Tiffany, yes.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So I said that something I like about characters is when they've got like a flaw, and it's something that's quite relatable as well. Because then when you're watching them in a play or a TV show, whatever it is you're writing, you like feel really sort of hooked and like you're sort of going on that journey with them and you're really rooting for them. Yeah,
perfect. I totally agree on that. One of mine is complex, and I think characters need to be complex. And I think one of the most interesting things is when you see a really good person doing a bad thing because of something they have to do, and then they're faced with a dilemma. So I think, yeah, perfect. Yeah. What else do you have? Do you have any more?
Yeah, so I also said as well, someone that is quite unique. So I don't know, like they've got a kind of niche about them. And I guess kind of the opposite to what I've just said as well. So like I kind of like relatable characters, but then I also like when I go to the theatre and I see a character that maybe I wouldn't have met someone like them before in real life. Like that's what I kind of like about theatre, is like you kind of get access to different sort of worlds and sort of social space and that. So yeah, I kind of just contradicted myself there, but yeah.
No, but I think characters are, you know, everyone's full of contradictions, aren't they? And that's what makes the most interesting people, you know. Yeah, cool. What else have you got, Tiffany?
I also said characters that go on a journey of some sort. So kind of similar to what I said before. And then characters that are resilient as well. So like they're just really sort of like they've got a goal and they want it, and then they're just really determined.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely. All of those are totally going in for character lists. Yeah, great. Thanks, Tiffany. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to share? Can't see everybody on the screen. Oh, there's a couple there. So we've got Helen and Benedict. So let's go to Helen first, and then we'll go to Benedict. Hi, Helen.
Hi there. I was thinking about when you're creating a character to think about the background and history and make that believable. So in terms of then their behaviour in the play, it's believable perhaps because of what they've been through previously.
Perfect, yeah.
And motivation.
Motivation, what drives them?
That sort of follows on from that.
Yeah, perfect, yeah. Do you have any more?
I think, did someone say about strengths? I think Tiffany was talking a little bit about that. Strengths that the character has.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, strength, strong people.
I think that was all that I had. Yeah.
No problem. They're all brilliant. Yeah, but throw them in the bag. Nice one. Thank you, Helen. Benedict, hi, mate. How you doing?
Hi, mate. Yeah, good. Thank you. So I don't know, opinions that can be contradictory.
Yeah.
So like when you don't always know what, or at least you think you know what a character's thinking throughout the play, and then they begin to say things that kind of mess that up, and you think, oh, right, you're not who I thought you were, or that belief that you said earlier, you're now contradicting that and changing it. But it could be for the essence of trying to get to where they want to be. So
wonderful, definitely, yeah.
Certain way of speaking. So there's kind of like, so that not every character sounds uniformed and all the same, you know, they all have different styles of language or how much they speak or how little they speak, you know.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Flaws. I've got yeah, and it's just been said, but sort of like a context beyond the play that already exists beyond the play. So there's one character's already got a story, and they're kind of bringing that into the play, and it has quite a big impact in the play, but the play's not about that. So somebody's already got a whole story going on, and that sort of weaves itself in and out of the play.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally makes sense. I think that you've got to remember that the whole world has existed up until the start of your story, and they've all lived very, very different lives. So whenever the story starts, they're bringing all these, all this character experience, all this life, and that's when the story starts. So yeah, perfect, great.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Brilliant, nice one. Somebody else put their hand up. Was it Mandy? I don't know. Mandy
Yeah.
F. Yes, where I can't see you, Mandy, but I can know you've raised your hand. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I can't see you, but we may be able to hear you. So I don't know if you want to.
Sorry, I haven't got my video on. Some of the ones that you've mentioned, like, yeah, contradiction and flaws and stuff, but things they're not saying, I think, can
definitely
make a character interesting, and also the way they behave towards themselves and others, and a character might not have the same behavior. They'll have different behavior towards different people sometimes around what's happening. I think you kind of said this about the journey and goal, but it's about wanting something that strongly, and connected to that is what or who matters to them.
Sure, definitely. Brilliant. Is that the rest of your list, or do you have any more?
The other stuff you've said, some of it.
Brilliant. No worries. I mean, they're all great. Again, there is no right and wrong way to do this. I think you can write a list of what makes a good character, and it could go on forever. I think the ones that I will choose, I've got 6 here, and I think truth. I think the characters need to be truthful in whoever they are. I really like recognizable characters. I think whether it's your old boss from 10 years ago, or it's your neighbor, or it's somebody really close to you, that when you watch something, you go, I know that person, I've seen them. I think recognizable is a really strong point for character. Complex is like the stuff we've touched on. I think no one is one-dimensional. Everybody does good and bad things, and they're all human. Authentic. I think authentic characters are what make characters really real. I think we write about what we know, but we also have to inhabit these characters. So for instance, if you're writing a character that loves heavy metal music, for instance, and it's a genre of music I don't gel with, I need to get my head into that kind of music in order to understand the character. And actually it's quite good, because your musical tastes do get wider and wider as you're writing, because you're kind of listening to music that you wouldn't normally listen to. Just one moment. And they need to be real, I feel. So authenticity and real. But my most important thing that I want to continue on with now is detail. Detail in characters is so important, and that's why I keep going back to my character Bible, because I put as much detail into this book as I can as a reference point. So what I'm going to start with, what I tend to do is draw a character timeline for all of my characters. So we're going to go into this next exercise now. Now, some people that have maybe trained as an actor or trained in performing arts might be used to working in this way, but we all come to writing from very different backgrounds. Not everybody has experienced training as an actor. So these are some of the things that actors generally do when they get given a script, and they have to make up the whole world around whatever they've been given. So there is a lot of freedom for actors to then decide on all the stuff, or the lives that have happened to these characters before they enter the play. So creating a complex timeline is something that I really advise you to do. And the way I do it is do it through music. I think music is such a really strong device for you as a writer to inhabit the world that they live in. So before we just go on to doing an exercise with your characters, I want you all to just think about yourselves. because I think that if we draw a lot of emotion from ourselves, that is a way of us understanding our characters too. So I want you to think about 2 pieces of music that are really important to you. One of them is what you're listening to at the moment. What's currently your main song at the moment that you listen to on your way to work, on the tram, as you're walking? There's always a song that captures something, and I want you to just jot a little line about why that song really makes your heart sing at this moment in time. And then I want you to just look back into your past between the ages of 16 and 19. They always say that music that a person sort of gets into around that time is what kind of marks them. So I think that they're really important years about your music taste. So try and think of a song from those 2 periods and explain to us just a little bit why that song is really important to you. And could you also write the location down that you see yourself listening to this song in both of those cases, if that makes sense? Because I think the location will really take you there. Does anyone have any questions before I put this on pause? Does anyone know? Is it pretty straightforward? Okay, great. Well, I will play my song that was really important to me at 19. So yeah, I'll do that, and I'll give you I'll give you 2 minutes again to do this, because we want to kind of keep this moving. Okay, so if you can just finish what you're writing there, I'll share with you my 2 songs. The reason why I kind of use yourself at first is that you know your own emotions, and you know that song I just played was by Erykah Badu. It reminded me of my 17-year-old self when it came out in '97. I was about to apply for drama school, and kind of I just felt I needed to get out of Manchester, and it was a real soothing song for me at the moment. That was at that time. The other song that I listen to at the moment all the time is, again, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. It's Lady Gaga's "Rain on Me." There's the restaurant that I work in is really busy, and there's always like some music on in the pot wash, and it's just one of these songs that seems to be on the radio all the time, but it's a kind of real soundtrack at the moment of, like, you know, it's a real great soundtrack for 2020. Everything's just raining on everybody and all the shit's happening, so that is why it kind of feels really important to me. Would anybody like to just share some of their... I can't see everybody. Maybe someone who's not shared so far. Ginny, hello.
Hello, how are you? You okay?
I'm good. Nice to see you. You okay?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, my 2 from now, it's Lizzo, Truth Hurts, and I think about it when I'm walking the dog. Firstly, I just love her. She's so empowering and brilliant, beautiful, and also because it's a song that is full of, like, you know, saying no to what people expect of you, and redefining yourself, which is kind of what I'm going through at the moment. So I just really love it.
Well.
And my old one, which is Show 'em Age, is the Smiths.
Right, nice.
please let me get what I want. Oh God, because I was miserable when I was that age. I'd kind of signed up to do sciences because I didn't see the art as being something like my family didn't see art as something that you could make a career out of, and I just didn't. I was in the wrong. It was the wrong me, but mainly it was about wanting Mike Tieran to date me. I just loved him so much. He just wasn't interested, and these things become enormous when you're that age, don't they? You know, how funny, but I still love listening to the Smiths. I find they allow me to access a melancholy that sometimes
it takes you back to that period of your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, it allows me to really access that quite quickly. That's why music's great, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks so much. Is there anybody else would like to share? Oh, hello. Yes, sorry. Millie, hiya.
Hi. So my song that I'm listening to all the time at the minute is Nick Mulvey's Meet Me There. And it's totally soppy, but I've just bought a place with my boyfriend. We've just got our first flat, and it's very romantic, and I'm feeling quite romantic at the minute. So totally disgusting, but that's the reason why I'm kind of...
Don't apologise. At least someone's getting it. Do you know what I mean? It's good.
And then my old song is from when I was 17. I just moved to a new secondary school, and it's Heads Will Roll by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. And I was going to my first like proper Halloween party, and I felt like proper cool, just, like with all my mates, like all my new mates anyway, in this car off to get like roaringly drunk. And yeah, that's my 17-year-old self.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks for sharing that, Millie. Anybody, maybe one more if anyone wants to? No? Right, no worries, we can move. Oh, yeah, Gabby. Hi, you put your hand up there. Hi.
Hiya. My one at the minute is Stormzy Superheroes. I mean, I absolutely adore Stormzy, and obviously with everything going on in the world at the minute, it's obviously amazing to hear him create music like that. And I just think he's someone that's so, like, he really puts his like money where his mouth is, and he's very, he cares about something, and he goes out of his way to make sure that there are the opportunities created that he wants. I'm in awe of him. And my one from when I was younger is the Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, Spread Your Love. And I used to listen to it in my car, and it epitomized freedom to me, and danger, and like not having to be some like girly girl, and being like, yeah, I can flipping rock out in my car on my own and no one cares. So I listen to it now and I'm like, oh yes, 10 out loud, let's go for it. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Thanks for sharing those. So yeah, obviously there's some really nice emotions coming out there from personal memories, and I want you to now transfer that into a character that you're working on. So I assume we are all working on something, on a piece of work, no matter what it is, on what scale. So if you can think of a character that is part of this piece that you're writing, and I want you to basically, I'll just talk you through my character Bible again. So we're going to just look at my process for the character of Jay in the play. Jay is 26 years old. He was born in 1994. And his occupation, he works in the pot wash of the restaurant. He also does kitchen prep, and he does desserts. I leave this space here just for notes and doodles, and then I've started to create a musical playlist timeline for Jay, which I've started to do here. I'll read you just the first three that I've done here, just to give you an idea of how I approach it. His first record was the year that he remembers is the year 2000, when he was 6 years old. It was Slim Shady by Eminem. Sorry, excuse me, I never pronounced his name right. So his older brother listens to him, and he used to teach him the words at the age 6. So it takes him back to this place where his brother is teaching him the words for this song that his granddad says he shouldn't be singing. Then the second song that I have for him reminds him of around the year 2000, around the same time. And his granddad used to always play Fleetwood Mac, Tell Me Lies. And he could never understand as a young boy why the song was encouraging people to lie, when all he was told at school was he shouldn't lie. The other song is 2013. And it's the year that Jay gets a job in the restaurant here. And because he works in the busy pot wash, like the one I've just spoken about, that in the restaurant I work, there's always music playing. And this was Get Lucky by Daft Punk was out on that year. And he remembers being part of a family, a unit, a workplace for the first time in his life, where everyone's dancing to this music, and you were paid to do this. So those are the three kind of songs I've got so far for Jay's timeline. I want you to think about the character that you are working on, and I want you to choose two songs that I want you to just think about. I want you to take them back to the age of 16 to 19. I think it's a really important age to get. And if your characters are younger than that, then that's okay. You might decide they're 15, but there'll be a song that's pre-16 years old. But I think between 16 and 19 is a really important age. And also the song that they're listening to at the start of your story. What is that song? I'd like you to just, I'll give you another 2 minutes just to do that, and then we'll come back and share them. Okay. Okay, great. If you just want to finish off what you are writing there. That's around 2 minutes, I think. Just before we go into sharing them, the whole point in this exercise is to create a really complex playlist for your characters. I think it really enables me to inhabit those characters when I'm trying to get into the world. So, and also you can do all this outside of your desk. You can do this on your lunch break. You can do this when you're grabbing little moments here just to work on things. And I think it constantly makes you think about your characters. And sometimes just listening to a song can take you to that place to then go and write. It sounds a bit corny, but sometimes that it really works for me. And the reason, once I've done a complex timeline of playlist songs for these characters, I then try to look at what scenes I might want to explore within that character. So for instance, the 3 scenes that I've pulled out of the songs that I shared to you before we did the exercise was a scene with his brother. I think his Jay's brother was really important to him. He was teaching him NMM songs really young, and I think there's that scene I would like to go back to and doodle. Whether it ends up in the play or not is a different story. But then also a scene with his granddad, his late granddad. His granddad's died, so there was a real connection to that, and to the song Little Lies. So I think for his character development, I want to write a scene with him and his granddad. I think that's what it kind of is saying to me. And then also a scene after his first shift in the restaurant. I think that's really, really important because he'd never worked around these people listening to music. And I think to take him back to that place and explore that really sort of strengthens the character and makes him quite complex. Would anyone like to share some of theirs? I'll try and see people. Go on, don't be shy, don't be shy. I could choose somebody who's not spoken yet.
Well, I think Becky wants, video's not working, but I think Becky wants to.
Okay, Becky, I try to find you. Yeah, your video's not working. Oh, you're right at the end. Okay, Becky, hi.
Hello, you're right.
Yeah, good, thanks.
So I've only got one song.
Okay.
But it's a character called Jake, and what I knew about him already was that he was dyslexic at school, but it was kind of not picked up on, so he kind of became this kind of class clown. So I was thinking about the Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right, that it's kind of got that sense of anger that you can kind of shout along to, but also the video is quite funny and, you know, quite kind of comical. So yeah, that's the one I got.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about your character that you'll be that listens to this song?
Yeah, so he's a pro wrestler is the character,
okay.
But like, he kind of fell into it because he was dyslexic at school and it was kind of never diagnosed. So he just kind of played up to it all the time, and you got that kind of performance, that love of performance. And I know that there's a bit where he got asked to read Romeo and Juliet, and he just improvised the whole thing because he wasn't confident enough reading it, and he got a lot of laughs, and that's kind of how he got that desire to kind of perform in front of people and kind of the adrenaline from kind of getting a crowd to kind of laugh at what he was doing.
Brilliant. And by thinking of this scene, by taking your character back to this moment of listening to this song, is there anything that you've learned, that scenes that you would like to explore in that character's past from doing this?
I think that anger, like I think I like the class clown side of things, but I think actually there's probably a lot of buried anger that people kind of think he's stupid when he's not, and kind of not being able to articulate himself all the time. Yeah,
brilliant. Sounds great. Really good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anybody else would like to share any of theirs? Come on, don't be shy. Oh, hello. Sorry, I don't know your name, but somebody beginning with C.
Yeah, Claire. Can you hear me?
Hiya, Claire.
Hi. Mine's based in the 17th century, so
right.
I'm a bit limited because I don't
know that's fine.
songs from them, but I've chosen two. One's a French song, which is like a round, and it's about two women bragging about how good their husbands are. Okay. And that's a song from a teenagerhood, and she just wants to be happily married and be a good wife and thinks life's going to be great for her. And then the next one is there's an older, much older woman, bit embittered by life and let down by a husband, and now she's got into religion, more or less the Puritan type of religion. So it's a kind of plain song without instruments. So those are the two that I've got, but they're very limited because I don't know any. I'm going to have to do a bit of research on music. Oh,
yeah.
Can you hear
I
me?
mean, obviously, we live in a world where we're constantly connected to our Spotify and to our iPhones and stuff. But obviously, I do think music will really, especially if you're writing a period piece, to try and get the music that those people are listening to at that time, hopefully will really take you back to those times when you're writing. And I think it is important because you can still create a timeline, even though you just got to decide on. I mean, you could do a modern version of this if you wanted, of set it now in your head, even though it's set in the 17th century. It's about getting to a point where you can explore points of your character's past, of the journey you're taking them back on. But yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
nice one.
Great idea. Thanks.
So there's nobody else.
Yeah, I think Sharon, did you want to chip in as well?
Sharon, hello, Sharon.
Hiya.
Yeah, okay.
I've written some monologues, but I'm going to hopefully develop it into a play. And
Perfect.
it's a comedy, and it's called Quimble, which is a group of women like the Women's Institute of all the women, but it's all the ones that have, like, they're 50 going on 25 again.
Okay.
So we're a bit of a manic group of women who gather now on Zoom because we can't meet up anymore. So I'm developing that into more of a play rather than monologues. So my character, I've called her Karen, just to fight for all the Karens out there, because we're always getting, Karens are always getting the rough end of the stick. And her song, she's quite an optimistic, quite a cheery person, and she's like the leader of this group of Quimbles. And she likes to listen to Elbow, and she really fancies the lead singer of Elbow. So one of her favourite songs is On a Day Like This, a very uplifting orchestral song. So it's one of those songs she plays at the beginning of meetings, or insists on having the CD in a car. And she grew up with a lot of soul music, and when she was 18 she used to go to like soul nights at clubs, and so she listened to like George Michael, George Benson, and her song of the time was I Want Your Sex by George Michael. Right. Because she was one of those, she just liked, basically just went out and just loved all the soul music, and had lots of boyfriends who came from being like a soul DJ or whatever. And that's basically it about my character.
Great, brilliant. Have you approached music with your characters before? Is that something you've done in the past, or something you've thought about?
Yeah. Well, I'm a music researcher and a singer myself, so music is a lot in my life. It's one of those things where I listen to it all the time, and then I don't listen to it for ages because it's my job, and it's like a bus holiday. But music is very important to me, and I have it on in the background. I can't write in a quiet room. I have to have music or background. Right. Noise, TV, whatever on. So music is quite important. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Sharon. Great. I'm going to just move on quickly to the next task, because I'm a bit conscious of time and I want to make sure we get enough out of these exercises. So obviously I will then look at scenes that I want to, once I've made a complete playlist, I will then go back and kind of look at areas where if you start writing these scenes, little scenes, they're only for you, but by sort of starting to write your character, taking them back to a scene with their granddad back 10 years ago, I think it just enables to let that character leap off the page. You get used to writing their dialogue, and it's an exercise I use all the time. Moving on very quickly to the next stage, it's my fear and love page. Seems quite basic, quite obvious sometimes that characters either have fears and they have loves, but I think that those two emotions for me are what triggers every other emotion for humankind. I think that they're the first ones. I think we're either scared of something or we love something, and every other emotion is connected to those two. It's a bit of a theory, but I won't spend too much time on that. But what I want you to now do is stick with the same character that you're working on, and I want you to just give you 2 minutes, and I want you to list at least 5 things of what your character fears and what your character loves. I can read mine. I'll share mine first of all to give you an idea of how it goes. I think his fear is being alone, never becoming a dad, losing his job. He's scared of rats and mice. He's also scared of prawns. He's scared of Tony, the head chef, and he's also scared of someone finding his little book of lyrics that he makes up, and that's his top secret. His love is hip hop music. He loves to write lyrics. He's in love with Bex, who he works with. He loves his late granddad, and he loves his working family. It's quite basic stuff, but I think if you just think about your characters and write those lists, by knowing their loves and fears, you can really manipulate them when you put them on stage. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that as well. Okay, if you just want to finish off what you're writing. Sorry if this feels slightly rushed. I just want to get through these exercises. You can do this more detail when obviously you're working alone. And if I go around and just ask somebody to share, try and have a think about, with looking at your characters' loves and fears, on what other scenes you would like to explore in their past. So for instance, I've put, he's really, really scared of someone finding his book of lyrics. So I think that must be a scene at some point. We've got to create a scene where we see him quite vulnerable and someone finding his lyrics. He's really scared of losing his job, but I know that's going to happen because the restaurant's going to close. So we've got a real fear that I'm putting the character in there. He wants to tell Bex that he loves her. And I think that's obviously another scene that I feel I need to write. And I also feel I need to go back to see the relationship with his late granddad. It's just something that really will make this character's makeup a lot fuller. So just have a little think about scenes that you want to investigate from looking at your loves and fears when we just go around and share. Would anybody like to share? No one's waving their hand.
Yeah, Helen.
Helen, hello, Helen. Hello again.
Hi there. So my play's actually about my gran. Sadly, she died a couple of weeks ago. She was 103.
Wow.
And she went to Oxford in the 1930s. And I'm writing a play about her and her best friend, Mary. And they met on the first day. And over lockdown, I phoned her every week because she was in a nursing home. And we'd sometimes be on the phone for an hour. And I wrote everything down, and it's just amazing, really, sort of just that she was there. She was in the rowing team. She was in the women's Oxford rowing team. And so from talking to her and sort of, really thinking about what she was like, I think she was scared of her parents because she didn't really know them very well. They were always just on the golf course. It was just bizarre when she talks about her parents. But when she was at university, she wouldn't have dared do anything. Like, she wouldn't spend her money on something because she had to account for everything she spent to her dad. So I think there was that fear with her parents, which maybe is a generational thing as well. I think she was scared of failing. She always felt like everyone else was really clever, like especially her friend Mary. When she talks about Mary, she said, "Oh, Mary, she was so clever." And so I think she kind of felt like perhaps not as bright as the other students. I don't know. That's the feeling that I got. I think she was quite sheltered, so she was a little bit wary of men. So she did meet my while she was at university. She did meet my granddad. So it turned out fine in the end. And also authority as well. I think she was scared of authority. Like, she lived in a house with other students, and then there was someone, like an older student, that was in charge, and she said, "Oh, you wouldn't dare not follow the rules, you had to sign in and sign out of the accommodation, and you had to be back by a certain time." And she sort of really followed all the rules. But she loved learning. She loved going to the theatre. They used to get the train and go to Stratford and go, and often West End, before plays were on in the West End, they'd come to Oxford to do a run, well, to sort of like as a premiere before going to the West End. So she used to go to the theatre a lot. She loved discussing literature, reading, and she loved archaeology. So
Great. Wow, she sounds like a really interesting woman.
Yeah, I've just got to write. I just feel like
you have to write it, definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much, Helen. Thanks.
Okay.
Is there anybody else want to share? Don't worry if not, because we can swiftly move on to the next exercise. I'm conscious of time here, and but I think that by zoning into your character's fears and trying to look at ways of exploiting that on stage is always really exciting. So kind of these lists keep being added to and added to and added to, you know, and you can swap and change it. You might decide, oh, actually, he's not scared of rats or mice anymore. I might use something else. Just because you decide it now doesn't mean that you can't go back and change it. You're totally in control. But I think by constantly writing these lists and getting under the skin of your characters to know their fear and love is really, really important. I just want to move on to this next exercise here. So I'm going to screen share a list of questions. Can we all see that? Now, I call this Let Them Tell You Their Secrets. So there's 10 character questions in this list. Now, listen, this is open to interpretation. These are all the little skills that I've picked up off previous writing exercises over the years and workshops, and they generally give 10 character questions. Now, these are what I use. I've adapted them for me, but you can equally adapt these 10 questions for yourself, and you can even add another 10 more. I think that these are quite important, whether you should answer whether they've been in love, and if they have, who with. So obviously if they've lived a long life and they've had 6 husbands, then you've got a lot to fill in on this. And how do they earn money? I think that earning money, however that is a massive thing for any character and any human being. What was their last meal? Did they enjoy it? What do they want in life? What drives them? Who is their best friend? Who knows their secrets? What was their relationship with their mother and father like? What is their ideal holiday? It's quite a strange one, but I think that when people can, when you kind of imagine what your character, where they'd feel most comfortable and most on holiday, I think that's quite a good one. Who in the world do they most love? Who are they most scared of? And when did they last have sex? Now, again, these are the 10 questions that I use to kind of go into my characters. You may think there are other questions, but I'd just like you just to take another 2 minutes and maybe just choose 2 or 3 or as many as you can fill in that time about your character. And we'll come back and share. But I'll leave those on the screen for you, and I'll see you in 2. Cool. How was that? I don't know. Would somebody like to share which questions they chose and tell us a little bit? I can't see if anyone. Any volunteers? Would you like me to choose someone? There's a couple of you still writing. No one wants to share these. No worries. We're coming towards the end because I'm conscious. So if we don't need to share. I think I just wondered if anyone has anybody worked this way before and finds these kind of things useful. Has anyone got anything to add? No, dead silence.
Do you want to just stop sharing, Chris, just so I can see the...
Oh, okay. Thanks. Oh, that might be better. Okay, right. Hi, Tiffany. Yes.
Yes, I've used like character questions before, right. And some of them that were on that list as well. And yeah, like I found that one like really useful because I could like think of like scenes that I wanted to write now because of like the answers that I'd come up with for them questions. So Thank you.
Great. No, as long as it does. I think that, again, there's no right and wrong way. You can tailor the questions to suit what you want to find out about your own characters as well. Has anybody got anything else they would like to? Yes, Jenny, hiya.
Hello. Yeah, I just find that a thing I always like to consider is the kind of this social and political context that my character grew up in, because it kind of shapes so much about what you believe, and the attitude of their parents and the constraints they're placed on through lack of wealth and lack of, all those things, and the first fears you have. So like the first fear I remember having really strongly was of nuclear war, because when I was a kid, it was all over the place. It was terrifying. And my first feeling of anger was how angry my dad was with Margaret Thatcher, like properly swearing at the telly, So I think those things teach us, don't they? Teach our characters too.
Brilliant. Yeah, great. Absolutely, Ginny. Absolutely. Anybody learn anything else before we? Now we're kind of running out of time. And obviously, like, it's quite hard to judge these online workshops on how much people interact. So there was another exercise that I want you to do and go away and do yourselves, which is a starting point for me to try and get to how this character speaks. And it is them on the phone in a room on their own. And they're on the phone to a company or someone complaining about something that's really, really pissed them off. And I always start with that template. I think that by seeing somebody without anybody else listening, getting really pissed off about something kind of gives you a really extreme of that character. So I think that give that exercise a try. If you're ever stuck with how a character speaks and how you start to write, I think just always have them doing a rant on the phone on their own. And I think that you'll kind of get a lot out of that, which is something that, I always try. We're coming towards an end. I just wondered if you wanted to throw out to any questions about character and dialogue, and how, if anyone has any general questions about it.
Yeah, and if you have got any questions, just feel free to either unmute or stick them in chat if you'd rather I pose them. Yeah.
Cool. So...
No questions? Stay now or forever hold your peace. Oh, Ginny.
I'm so sorry. It's just because I do wait to see if anyone else has got a question. It's just I'm really interested with using music to subvert our audience's idea of our characters, aside from all the rights and everything. But do you think that that it's too kind of jarring, because we all bring our own memories to particular songs? I mean, like, a very basic example is, I think someone said, like, a grandma who likes heavy metal or something. But do you think audiences take it, or do you think that it'll be too much?
Well, I think that when we're talking on creating this playlist, that doesn't necessarily mean that music goes into your production. Creating music is a choice of the director as well as the writer. I think that this is not for what is going to be on stage. I think if you're really, really strong about a piece of music, then write it in the script and say the character is listening to this. But I think it's a conversation between the writer and the director. But the process of that is not necessarily for what goes into the production. It's about what is in the minds of these characters. Obviously, if you don't like heavy metal and your character does, then there's a real challenge there. But I think that you've got to have a bit of a knowledge about that music, wherever that is. And I think no matter whatever situation or characteristics you are creating for your characters, you have to know that world a little bit and reach yourself to that world. Otherwise, then don't write them. I mean, it's like if somebody who's, say, of the older generation writes a character that likes hip hop, I think we will be able to tell whether that character is authentic or not, whether that writer has really delved into that and knows that, or whether it's somebody of a different generation trying to write someone younger. And I think that that's always a challenge. But don't be confused about this music being part of the performance. This is about your journey as a writer and the character's journey.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Yeah, Benedict, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello?
sorry.
I can hear
I
you,
was talking.
Benedict. Oh, sorry, who's next? Is it Mandy next? Mandy, did you have a question? I'll come back to you, Benedict, one sec. Hello, Mandy.
No, it was just a comment, really. I suppose music's great for knowing where the heart of the character is at any particular time, really, isn't it? And yeah, where they're at different stages, because it's what's speaking to them. So therefore, it'll be what's informing who they are really at that point to you writing them. Yeah.
I mean, I think essentially I wanted to create a timeline, and I find it really easy by using music to do that. Now, not every moment in everyone's life is connected to a piece of music. I just feel that music enables me to create a timeline without me struggling, because I think music just is very important to me. So, but I think that you can create this timeline without music. It's about getting your timeline as detailed as possible to where this character's been up until this point of your play.
But also, I think if you asked us to choose music that spoke to us, and I think that's the same with the character, that can help you to get into the essence of where the character's at by.
No, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Mandy. Cheers. Benedict, did you have a question there?
Yeah, question / confirmation. Those questions are kind of, when I look at them, they sort of feel like a collection of things that are related to pushing a character forward. So it's kind of like, what's driving them? What are they striving for? Maybe what are they running away from? How have their opinions been informed from their childhood? So their mum and dad, but also their network around them right now. Is there a network around them right now? Is that kind of like the right ballpark? Is that why you use that sort of like?
Totally. I mean, like, I'll share something with you. I've just started having therapy this year for the first time in my life, and basically, the long story short is they take you on a journey of what I've been 8 to 9 years old to 10, and I think again by looking at taking your characters back to that point, because we're learning so much about the world during that, and we're very open to stuff, and it's about the first time that this child starts to get a grasp of what's going on in the world. So I think by using the same kind of devices as a counsellor would for any kind of therapy, I think that this is the same thing. I think go back to the stages of life that are really important, that shape the character's journey. So yeah, I think that's, definitely. And also to see them in vulnerable situations. I think if we constantly see our characters in situations that they're comfortable with, there's just nothing there. I think that when you see your characters in situations that they feel uncomfortable facing their fears, I think that opens a lot out. Whether you decide to put that in the play or not is a different thing. Great, nice one. Any more before we finish up?
I think Tiffany's got a question.
Yes, Tiffany. Yeah, hi.
Hi. Thank you so much, by the way. I've really enjoyed this workshop.
Oh, wicked.
So I just wanted to ask you, like, personally, when you're sort of starting to come up with ideas, what you're writing, do you tend to sort of look at it from a character point of view first, or like a plot point of view? And then if it's the character point of view, how do you get to the plot bit?
Well, that's a really good question, because I think I always start with the characters first, if I'm being honest. I think having an idea of the story and where I want to drive it and what I want to do. I don't tend to worry about structure too much in the first draft. I think it's really important that you leave that for the second draft. I think that the first draft should be full of all this stuff, and it might be stuff you don't even need, but it's just about getting stuff on the page, trying to get to the bottom of who things are. And then I tend to then look at draft 2 and go, actually, maybe the starting point of this play is not quite right. Maybe I should start it here. Maybe I should start it there. But I think for the first draft, I tend to not really worry too much about the structure. I just want to create the world and the characters. I think that there's something that I always like with dialogue. I tend to, in this little small book here, I'll keep this thing called, there's a section called my section of dazzling phrases. So, like when you're ever out and about and you're in the supermarket and you hear someone say something, you think, oh my God, that's a great line. I'll write that down. And I think you have to be very careful that when you approach this, because you can't manipulate and structure a scene around one piece of dialogue. because it's got to be organic, it's got to be truthful. But if you kind of keep a collection of all these little things, like something your Auntie Winnie might say, and you like kind of write them down, and whenever you feel, once you've got a collection of all these little pieces of dialogue, once you've created your character, you might go, right, okay, well, let me look through my little book and see what pieces of dialogue might fit that character. Bring the dialogue to the character rather than the character to the dialogue, because otherwise you're just going to create a scene all around one punchline, and it's not really the organic or truthful way to do it, because you're manipulating it too much. But I always start with the characters, start with who they are, with what they want to say, and then the structure can come at a later stage, I think. And then you work with the dramaturg and people like Adam and Box of Tricks, and that will help you, advise you on that kind of thing too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Chris. That's been a fantastic session. We're going to have to call it a day there, I'm afraid, just because we're kind of well over the hour mark. But thank you. That's been absolutely brilliant. Just on that note about kind of things here, there used to be a thing in Time Out called Overheard Underground, and it's like phrases that people like, just these random snippets of conversation. So I love that being like a kind of thing that you collect, like these just like little kind of golden nuggets. So yeah, love it. Brilliant.
I hope it's been okay for you guys. Sorry, it feels a bit rushed. There's a lot to get in. I mean, in an hour to kind of, I've just shared you an example of what exercises I use to go into this character Bible. Keep a character Bible. It might seem like a lot of extra word, but it's really useful in the long run. Yeah, great. And if anyone does have any questions, you can email, you can get in touch with Adam and pass on the email, and I'm happy to keep in any dialogue with any new writers. It's really great to hear from people. So great.
Yeah, I'd second that. And yeah, thank you so much, Chris. It's been fantastic and lovely to see you all this afternoon. And take care and see you again soon. Cheers. Bye now.